Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
On January 24th, 2006, 24-year-old Jennifer Kessie was reported missing when she failed to show up for work. The only lead in the case? A mysterious person of interest captured on video leaving her car. To this day, that person and Jennifer's whereabouts are still unknown. Unconcluded is a real-time investigative podcast taking another look. You can subscribe or listen on Apple Podcasts or your favorite app.
In February 2017, 34-year-old Kelly Cochran was up on the witness stand in the Iron County Courthouse in Crystal Falls, Michigan. She wore a striped, long-sleeved sweater over a cream-colored turtleneck. Her hair was pulled back tightly in a bun. Kelly spoke calmly into the microphone and told her attorney, who was questioning her, about something awful that happened on October 14th, 2014. She said she watched her husband, Jason Cochran, leave home for the night, and then she called a man she had been having an affair with, Karl Regan, and told him to come over. She said when Chris arrived, they started having sex right by the back door, and that's when she heard a gunshot go off, and both she and Chris tumbled down the basement stairs.
All of a sudden, he's tumbling down the stairs and you're going with him. What happens then?
I come to under him on the bottom of the steps.
Okay. What do you see?
Jason's there and Chris is there.
What's Jason doing? What's Jason doing?
He's standing with his 22.
And do you have a look on his face, or what do you say anything?
He had a howl look on his face.
What?
To me, it's a howl look. The best way to describe it is howl. I mean, there was no emotion, there was no anger, sadness, anything. It was just a howl.
Did he say anything to you?
Not that I remember clearly. Not at that point.
Okay, now, what if anything was Chris doing?
Chris was dead.
Chris was dead. How do you know he was dead? That's class foolish question, but did you check for a pulse? Did you try to CPR or anything like that? Or?
I eventually checked for a pulse, but with the blood that was down at the bottom of the steps, he wasn't moving.
Kelly said it was obvious that Chris was dead, and that, unbeknownst to her, her husband Jason had been lying in wait, waiting to kill him.
I think we heard it. I don't know if it actually heard part of it, but it certainly implied that the reason he told Chris to go to the back door was he knew Jason was there waiting for him.
I didn't. That's correct. I didn't know Jason was there, though. I had watched him leave. Didn't even hear him come in. So
again, if you made a statement to that effect, that's why you wanted to go to the back door, was that true?
No, it's because I felt guilty because he's not here.
Again, you feel some measure of responsibility for that guilt.
I do.
For not being here.
I do.
Again, not because you did anything, but why?
Because if he would not have been in a relationship with me, he'd be here today.
While on the stand, Kelly detailed years of abuse that she allegedly suffered at the hands of her husband, both verbal and physical. She said that after she witnessed Jason kill Chris, she had no choice but to make him dinner as he dismembered Chris in their basement. She said he made her get a cord for the saw he used, and if she didn't do it, she said, she was certain that Jason would kill her too.
So after Jason drags Chris to the middle of the room, what happens next?
He gives me 4 steps.
Who does?
Jason.
And what does he tell you to do with these 4 steps?
He wants me to pull the bullet out of his head.
Chris's head. Just to be clear.
Yes.
And what does he say? How does he say it to you? What does he just flat out say? Here's some forceps, pull this bullet out of his head, or?
He just told me to take the bullet out of his head.
Do you use any graphic language or anything? Or just manufacture like I just kind of said it?
It was a vulgar, angry term, but I don't know its exact words.
Okay, and
Take
what
the
did
bullet
you,
out of his head.
sorry, what did you do then?
I used the forceps to try. I put it in the hole, but I didn't take a bullet out.
Did you try to look for the bullet, or?
No. I didn't take the bullet out, nor was I going to. I did pretend like I took the bullet out, though.
Okay. Did he ask to see the bullet? Did Jason ask to see the bullet?
No.
So he kind of went through the motions.
Right.
What happens next?
Like I said, he's on the floor. At this point, this is where he wants dinner.
Jason wants dinner. And what does he tell you?
Go make him dinner.
Just like that.
Not as friendly.
Okay. And did he say what he wanted for dinner?
He had me make me hamburger and fries.
Specified you want hamburger and fries.
Yes.
And what's your reaction to this?
I didn't really have one. I was crying. I was hysterical. But at the same time, I guess I couldn't believe it was actually going on.
Okay, so what do you do?
I attempt to make hamburger and fries.
And while you're doing that, where's Jason?
He's in the basement.
Now, when he sends you upstairs, why didn't you just run out the back door and start screaming for help?
Because I didn't think there was help at this point.
What do you mean by that?
I didn't think I'd have a chance to get help. He'd find a way to either kill me or hurt me or worse.
Well, he didn't any kind of threat to you down in the basement that he was going to do something like that?
Not only did he threaten me, but I expected him to kill me.
This wasn't the only version of the story Kelly would tell, and it was clear from the charges against her that prosecutors didn't believe this one. You see, Kelly was testifying in her own defense. She was on trial for murder. This is Jillian, and you are listening to Court Junkie, episode 34. About a year and a half before Kelly Cochran would take the stand, a missing persons investigation was starting. On October 27, 2014, Terry O'Donnell was in tears as she pulled into the parking lot of the Iron River Police Department in Iron River, Michigan. Chief Laura Frizzo was just leaving for the day when Terry pulled in, crying, saying that her ex-boyfriend was missing. Chief Frizzo escorted Terry inside, and Terry told her that she hadn't heard from her ex, 53-year-old Karl Regan, in about 2 weeks. She said she had checked his apartment and saw that it was disheveled, and said she was concerned that something had happened to him. She told Chief Frizzo that she had found Chris's car, parked at a park and ride, and that Chris's knee brace was inside, which made her alarmed. Terry and another officer went to Chris's apartment. The apartment was indeed messy, and it looked as though Chris had been preparing to move. There were cardboard boxes all throughout the apartment. Terry said he had gotten a job offer and was in fact planning on moving in the next few weeks. They then went to the park and ride so Terry could show the officer Chris's abandoned car. On the passenger seat, there was a yellow sticky note that contained directions. Terry told the officer that Chris had a habit of writing down directions on sticky notes, and wherever those directions led, she said, would be the last place Chris was at. A missing persons report was officially filed, and Chief Frizzo took the lead on the case. She quickly learned that Chris was indeed missing. He hadn't shown up to work in the last 2 weeks. His last cell phone activity was on October 14th, and he appeared to have missed an appointment for a physical that he had scheduled for October 15th. Investigators found paperwork in Chris's home that indicated that he had recently accepted a new position at a company called Republic Services in North Carolina. He was scheduled to start his first day there on November 10th, which would explain all the moving boxes found in Chris's apartment, but it still didn't explain whether he was missing voluntarily, was suicidal, or whether something more sinister was at play. Chief Rizzo spoke with Chris's supervisor at a company called Oldenburg, a company that manufactures heavy machinery. The supervisor told her that she had a tip that should be looked into. She said that Chris had been having an affair with a married woman, another employee, in fact, who worked there. That woman was Kelly Cochran, and coincidentally, the driving directions on that yellow sticky note found in Chris's car also led to Kelly Cochran. So the next day, on October 28th, Kelly and her husband Jason were interviewed at the Iron River Police Department separately. Kelly confirmed to police that she and Chris were having an affair, but said her husband Jason knew about it and was cool with it. Kelly said she would go over to Chris's house for dinner about 5 to 6 nights a week, and that he had been over to her place about 2 to 3 times before, with the last time being about 2 to 3 weeks prior to the interview. She told the officers that not only did Jason know about her relationship with Chris, but that he knew that she was seeing other men too and was accepting of it. As for when she last saw Chris, Kelly said she was over at his place about 2 weeks ago, between October 12th and October 15th. She said she typically went over to his place at about 4:30 p.m. during the weekdays, and then left around 7:30 because Chris would go to bed early. When asked whether she thought Jason would ever want to hurt Chris, Kelly said no, that he knew that that would hurt her, and so he would never do anything like that. The investigators asked if Jason had ever threatened her, and she said no, that he was depressed and suicidal at times, but never threatened to hurt her. Kelly said she had nothing to do with Chris's disappearance, and remarked that she was actually a little upset at him for blowing her off. When Jason was interviewed, his demeanor was different than Kelly's. While Kelly had been calm and stone-faced in her interview, Jason was emotional and even broke into tears at times. He told the investigators that he had been dealing with anxiety issues and that he had been hospitalized about a month or so ago. He confirmed that he knew about his wife's affairs and said that he wasn't happy about them, but that he either had to accept them or let her go. He said his and Kelly's marriage had been rocky, but he blamed that on his health issues. He said he and Kelly had been doing better the last few weeks and spending more time together. He acknowledged that police likely wanted to talk to him, thinking that he was a jealous husband, but he said that although he had been suicidal, he didn't want to hurt anyone else, and said there were never any abuse issues between him and Kelly. Meanwhile, Chief Rizzo had executed a search warrant on Chris's bank account and had determined that Chris had last used his bank card on October 14th at about 4 p.m. at a BP gas station in Iron River. She obtained the surveillance video, and sure enough, there was Chris, pulling into the gas station and pumping gas into his car. This would be the last video of Chris that would ever be taken. About a week and a half later, on November 10th, Chief Rizzo decided to interview Kelly and Jason again. She had looked over their prior interviews and had noticed some inconsistencies with their statements and wanted to see if she could get some clarifications. So again, Kelly and Jason went into the Iron River Police Department. Chief Rizzo asked Kelly again when she thought she had last seen Chris. Kelly told her that she had narrowed it down to October 14th, that she had gone over to Chris's house with dinner, lasagna to be exact, and that she had made garlic bread in a frying pan. However, this didn't make much sense to Chief Rizzo, who noted that there were no remnants of any lasagna nor garlic bread in Chris's apartment. And not only that, but Kelly claimed that she had washed all the dishes when she left, but when police searched his home, the sink was full of dishes, and there was a huge moving box in front of the sink. There were other holes in Kelly's story, too. She said she had arrived at Chris's place at about 4:30 p.m. and then left at about 7:30. But phone records showed that there was communication between Chris's phone and Jason's phone during that time period. In fact, at 3:57 p.m., right around the time that Chris showed up on that surveillance footage at the BP gas station, Chris had sent Kelly a text message, to which she didn't respond. But at 4:30, a text went out from Jason's phone to Chris's, and Chris responded. Then there was a 7-minute call from Chris's phone to Jason's, and then a final text from Chris's phone to Jason's phone at 5:25 p.m. When asked why Jason would be communicating with Chris, Kelly said that he wouldn't be, that she sometimes used Jason's phone. She said there were a number of reasons for this. Originally, she said if her minutes ran out, she would use Jason's phone, saying that she had done that in the past to contact Chris. Or she might do that if her phone was broken. But she also couldn't explain why she would have been texting Chris during the time she said she was actually with him. Chief Rizzo asked Kelly how she felt about Chris, and Kelly said she loved him, past tense. The investigation into Chris's disappearance went on for months. In March 2015, 5 months after Chris was first reported missing, the Iron River Police served a search warrant on Jason and Kelly's home in Caspian, Michigan. A loaded .22 pistol, a 12-gauge shotgun, and their cell phones and computers were seized. But within a day of police officers executing that search warrant, Jason and Kelly quickly packed up some of their belongings and fled the area. Jason and Kelly had decided to move to Kelly's parents' house, back in Indiana. They told Kelly's mother that they had nothing to do with Chris's disappearance, and that police were only trying to figure out what had happened to him. On March 16th, the Iron River Police Department got a phone call saying that Kelly and Jason's house had been broken into. When police arrived, they discovered Kelly's relatives removing more of their belongings. About a week later, police executed another search warrant on Jason and Kelly's home. The house was notably different than the last time they were there. It was clear that Jason and Kelly had packed up and moved in a hurry. All of the clothing was gone from their closets. However, there was still a lot of items left. Investigators seized the mattress and comforter from the bedroom, some ammunition, and a notebook that contained some pretty interesting writings in it. It was a summary for a book that Jason had been planning on writing. One of the quotes from the notebook read, "The predator is sometimes the prey, and the prey is sometimes the predator." The walls continued to close in on Jason and Kelly. More search warrants were executed at their home in May 2015. One search was done with cadaver dogs who are trained to detect the scent of human remains. The dogs alerted on wooden planks around the exterior of the home, as well as on the inside and exterior of the garage. And nearby, a dive team found a burn barrel off the shoreline of the Caspian Pit, a popular fishing spot not far from the Cochran home. A cement block had been tied to the barrel with a clothesline. Items collected from the home included brush, spots of interest on the stairwell, and ash from the fire pit. The investigation continued, but in February 2016, something would happen that would change everything. In February 2016, Jason Cochran passed away from an apparent heroin overdose. Kelly wrote on her Facebook page that his death was the hardest thing I will ever have to deal with. But shortly after Jason's death, Kelly seemed more willing to talk about what had really happened to Karl Regan. Perhaps it had something to do with a phone call she received from a man named Walt, one of Jason's friends, 3 weeks after his death. This audio is a little difficult to understand, but bear with me. I'll go through what was said after each clip.
Can I call you back in my half hour? had to, but this is...
I know.
Well, you know, we met at Chili's a couple times.
Yeah.
Like back in December we met.
Yeah.
And this has really been bugging me, but Jason asked me for my address. Okay?
Okay.
And, you know, no big deal, I gave it to him. And I got a letter like January 4th or 5th or something like that from him. And inside is a note from him and another letter.
Walt tells Kelly that earlier that year, in January, he received a letter from Jason.
There's an envelope in there with no return address to the Iron River Police Department. So, I mean, it's been 3 weeks and it's been bugging me. I haven't been talking about it. But it's like I'm supposed to mail this, but I just wanted to tell you.
He tells her that the letter contains an envelope that's addressed to the Iron River Police Department, and the letter tells him that if anything should happen to him, to send it to them. You can hear Kelly start panicking in the call, telling him, please don't.
Please don't.
I don't know how not to. I mean, all I can picture is his mom saying I was his best friend and he did this to me. And he made me this. So, I really just wanted to tell you, I don't know what to do about it. I haven't been sleeping good, but, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to tell you, I just got home from Florida and I felt I needed to tell you. You know, I've never asked me to do anything, but I can't hear you. I'm not fucking with you. I really gotta go. I don't know what to do. All right. Bye.
Kelly ultimately tells him that he's got to do what he's got to do, but she breaks down and cries at the end of the call. It would later be revealed at Kelly's trial, however, that letter wasn't real. Jason's friend was working with the police, and that phone call was designed to make Kelly believe that Jason was ratting her out for whatever her involvement was in Chris's disappearance. Here's Detective Jeremy Ogden, a police officer with the Hobart, Indiana Police Department, testifying at Kelly's trial about how he came up with the plan.
What was the plan?
Well, you know, in the beginning of this investigation, I was trying to, size things up with her based off of everything that had occurred in Michigan's investigation and all of their evidence and what I already saw from sitting and talking with her. And I realized, she's a very highly intelligent person and that, during this investigation, she had indicated during that first interview with me that, the FBI had already tried to bluff her and that they caught him and that, they put him in 2 separate rooms and told him that, one was telling on the other. And I knew that I could never get caught bluffing with her. And so I had to be very careful about how I did things. So I sat and I thought about things and I thought, Jason was gone at this time already. And what if Jason wrote a letter in the event something were to happen to me? And he addressed it to the Iron River Police Department. And I wanted to know if maybe Walt could be that guy who theoretically facilitated the delivery of that letter. And so I just sat there thinking about the whole idea of the letter. And I talked to Walt about it. And I became very comfortable with him. And I signed him up as a confidential informant.
Detective Ogden had conducted several interviews with Kelly, trying to gain her trust and trying to talk to her about what really happened to Chris. At first, she continued to deny knowing what happened, but it seemed like she was now wavering.
Now, did you receive contact from the defendant after the letter call on March 12th, 2016?
Yes, I received a call from her at about 8 o'clock in the morning on March 14th.
Sorry, I misspoke on the date. March 14th? Okay, where were you at when you received that call?
I was at the Hobart Police Department gym.
And were you able to answer the call?
Yeah, I don't think I answered her incoming call. I think what I did is I saw the call coming, and I ran out of the gym and ran to my truck, and I had my recorder with me, and I jumped in the truck, started it up, and started the recorder and called her right back.
And did she indicate to you what the reason was for her call that day?
Yeah, she wanted to let me know that things might be being revealed very soon, as there was a letter sent following Jason's death.
And did she indicate where the letter was sent to?
She said that the letter was going to the Iron River Police Department.
But the police weren't done with their psychological games to try and trip Kelly up. Here, Detective Ogden describes how after watching Kelly repeatedly drive to a wooded area day after day and sit by some fallen trees, he decided to beat her there one day and leave a message there for her.
Now, several times after March 22nd, you saw her at that location. What, if anything, did you do with respect to that location on March 28th, 2016?
She would, I'd sit there and watch her, and she'd go sit down next to this tree, so I decided that I would go into the wooded area to find the tree that she sat down, and I went over there, and the big stump coming up out of the ground, the trunk of the tree, I carved Chris's here in the tree. And then on the tree that she would set with me to her right, I carved Regan in it.
Now, why did you do that?
Psychological effect on her.
Did you go by that location again after March 28th?
Yes, on March 29th, I had court in the morning, and I was at court, and it got canceled. And I looked outside, and it was a really nice day, and I thought, I'm going to get over there and want to watch the park because I wanted to be able to see her go to the park.
And what, if anything, did you see?
I pulled up, and as soon as I was coming across the bridge, I saw her truck coming, and I saw her walking into where she always walks to. And by the time I drove around to the other side of the lake, I saw her either running or fast walking out of the woods and jump in her truck. And before I could get around again to be able to follow her, she was gone.
And how much time does it usually take you to get around the park in your vehicle?
It takes me probably from that side of the lake to get to the other side, depending on traffic, maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
Later that day, Detective Ogden went to meet with Jason's family. While he was there, he started getting phone calls and text messages from Kelly, saying she really, really needed to talk to him. He said the text messages were so desperate that he was worried she might go try to kill herself. He went to meet her later that day, and sure enough, her story had dramatically changed. She told him that Chris had been over at their house on October 14th and that she had cooked him lasagna there. She said Jason wasn't supposed to be there, but suddenly he appeared while she and Chris were having sex upstairs. Jason then came in and shot Chris in the head. She said she checked to see if Chris was breathing and tried giving him CPR, but it was too late. He was already dead. Then, she said, Jason, quote, downsized him, meaning that he dismembered him with a machete, a knife, and a chisel. They then disposed of the remains in the woods. Kelly demanded immunity in order for her to show the police the location of Chris's remains, but Detective Ogden refused. She agreed to help them anyway, and they drove back to Iron River so Kelly could assist investigators with locating Chris's remains. Once they arrived at the Iron River Police Department, Kelly once again spoke with Chief Frizzo. Here's Chief Frizzo talking about Kelly's demeanor at that interview at Kelly's trial.
What did she say to you in the interview room on March 30th, 2016?
The first thing I think she said to me was, are you going to leave me alone after this? You've been on my ass for 1.5 years, and I didn't do anything. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't steal anybody's car. She wanted immunity. She didn't want to be charged for anything connected to Chris Regan's death.
What was her demeanor during this time frame?
She was confrontational. She was questioning me about this letter that she thought we had received, and she wanted to see that. And I mean, she was confrontational. She had things she wanted to say to me, and I think she even told me that.
They all then went to the Pantoga Trail, and Kelly pointed out a location where she said they had dumped Chris's remains. But despite their search efforts, investigators didn't find anything. They then went to Kelly and Jason's house, and Kelly agreed to do a videotaped reenactment of what she said happened. In the reenactment, Kelly again changes a big part of her story. Instead of the shooting having occurred in the bedroom where she originally said it happened, she now said that she and Chris were actually having sex by the back door when Jason came up from the basement and shot him.
Where did you originally start out in the house?
Originally, she took me to the upstairs bedroom, and while we were even driving there, she said that this occurred in the upstairs bedroom. And then as she was walking up the stairs, her demeanor kind of changed a little bit, and we actually got into the room, and Detective Sipes was videotaping, and she's like, it didn't happen here, it happened downstairs.
Did you question her at that point in time as to why she told you it happened upstairs in the bedroom?
Yeah, I mean, I could see her mind working, and I knew that she was, thinking about evidence and thinking about how things are going to fit into this story. So she's trying to me, my opinion, she was trying to make things fit as we go.
After they finished the reenactment at the Cochran home, Detective Ogden drove Kelly back to Hobart, Indiana. On the way, he and Kelly had an interesting conversation about her background in forensics.
What I do recall from the ride back that night was a good conversation that we were having about her schooling and her taking forensic training and going to school for psychology. And I actually looked at her in the truck and I said, "You're a cheater." And she looked at me and she's like, "That's effed up." And I said, "I don't mean because of the myth." I said, "I mean because you went to school and to learn all these things, and you didn't go to school to learn these things for the greater good of mankind. You went to school to use them to be able to get away with things." And we're engaged in conversation about that, and it was very interesting.
How did you react to that when you said that she used it to cover up things rather than for the good of mankind?
I think she just kind of joked it away, and then eventually I asked her to, when is she going to take credit for her work?
And did she respond to that?
No, she always blew me off on that.
Kelly continued to talk to Detective Ogden and continued to reveal tidbits of information about the case. But one thing she said was pretty stunning. She said Jason had other victims. We'll get more into that right after this quick break from my sponsors. I don't know about you guys, but I just love a good book. And today's show is supported by Book of the Month. Book of the Month makes reading more fun and discovering great new books easier than ever. Every month, they pour through hundreds of new books and select 5 new hardcover releases that are truly worth reading. You pick your favorite, and they ship it to your door in a fun-to-open box. From there, it's time to curl up and get lost in a great story, then come back next month and do it all again. Book of the Month only sends you books you've chosen, and they make it easy to skip any month you want, so there's no need to get a book until you're ready. No matter how often you read, you'll save money on books you love with lower prices and free shipping. Head over to bookofthemonth.com/court to see their current selections and get your first book for just $9.99. That's bookofthemonth.com/court to get your first book for just $9.99. Book of the Month, bound to delight. This episode is also sponsored by Ellevest. If you're a woman and you're not investing, you could be losing about $100 a day. Thankfully, there's Ellevest, the investment platform for women built and run by women. They help women invest in specific real-life goals like buying a home, starting a business, or retiring comfortably. They'll even show you how long it will take to reach your goal with free financial plans. Just go to ellevest.com/court to get $100 towards your first funded goal when you get started. That's ELLEVEST.com/court. And now, back to the episode. On March 31st, 2016, Kelly led Detective Ogden to Deep River Park in Hobart, Indiana. She claimed that Jason had once disposed of a body there in the water.
So what occurred at the location when you arrived?
We went out to that location and she showed us an area by the river. She claimed that there was a body that was put in the water. She talked about the water level was high at the time we were there, and that at the time that this body was disposed of, the water level was down a little bit lower, and that there would be more of a little bit of a sandbar. And she was kind of upset with me because I wasn't just calling a bunch of people out there to start checking the area, and I told her that I had to have more proof. I needed to know, who this person was, confirm that I had a missing person, because I felt like she was leading us on a wild goose chase in order to divert the investigation away from her to do with Chris Regan.
And was there, or did she say anything about who was responsible for this body that she claimed was in the Deep River location?
She claimed Jason was.
Now, did you speak with her again? Let me go back for a moment. Did you ever locate anything in the Deep River location?
I never tried.
Was there other places that she directed you to during March, not during March, but during April of 2016 where she claimed that there was bodies, or was this the only location?
No, there was another location, and it was on the other side of the park, off of Randolph Road. And the first time that we went in, we were off the County Line Road side of the park, which is right on Lake and Porter County. It's on the Lake County side, but it's right on the County Line Road. And if you go to the west of that, there's Randolph Road, and the park butts up to Randolph Road on that side. So she ended up taking us in on that side of the road where we basically parked in somebody's, next to their pole barn, went up and told them who we were, and walked out onto the park where they have like a model airplane field, an airplane field where they fly these little airplanes. And we walked through there into the park, and she showed us a location where she claimed that there was a body buried.
And was anything found?
We took shovels with us, and we actually didn't locate anything. And I think even at one point she told us that there was a murder weapon, some type of weapon buried next to a tree, and she said it's by this tree, and we dug there, and there was nothing.
Had she, did you often exchange text messages with her during this time period?
Yes, and there's another time also in Deep River Park where she's texting me, calling me, and telling me that she's found a body, she's found bones, and that I needed to come to the park right then. And I'm not functioning on her time schedule. She's going to do things on mine and in a way that is safe for me and my team. So I tell her, I'm not coming to the park. You found what you believe are human remains. You're on your phone talking to me. Take a photograph of it and send it to me right now.
What did she say about the photograph?
Her camera's broken. So I said, okay. I said, well, we'll meet another time. And so I ended up setting up a later meeting, and I don't remember what date it was. But in a short time frame in that same little area, I took her out to that same location in relatively a quick time from that phone call. And when we got out there, I said, hey, can I see your phone? And I took her phone and I took a picture of her and I handed it back to her. I said, there's no bones here. Quit wasting my time.
So you've talked to her on the 29th, the 30th, the 31st. Now we're moving to April 1st. During this time period, has she ever asked you about the letter again?
Yeah, there was a number of times where she brought up the letter. She she asked as soon as we went to the Iron River Police Department on the 30th, the first thing that she demanded when she walked into the room was she wanted to see a copy of the letter when she walked in with Chief Rizzo. And I kind of rudely didn't even allow Chief Rizzo to speak, I don't think, at that point, because I just said, you're not seeing a copy of the letter. That's not going to happen. So there was a number of times that she brought up the letter.
Meanwhile, Chief Rizzo was back in Iron River, continuing to search for Chris's remains, but with no luck. Over the next few months, Kelly continued to communicate with Detective Ogden through meetings, text messages, and phone calls. But although her stories continued to get more and more bizarre, she still wasn't taken into custody. And some of the details she offered up were nothing short of odd. For example, Kelly claimed that after Jason shot Chris, she went upstairs and gave herself 3 stitches in the back of her head because she had hit her head while falling down the stairs with Chris. The inconsistencies in Kelly's stories were unbelievable too. She first claimed that Chris was shot in the bedroom, then said he was shot as he was walking up the stairs, and then she said he was shot in the landing as they were having sex. At one point, she said he died immediately, and then at another point, she recalled performing CPR on him. So it's safe to say that her story continued to evolve, from she and Jason had nothing to do with it, to Jason shot him and she wasn't aware that he was there, to Jason's a serial killer and she's an abused wife. She said Jason kept a trophy bag of prior kills and that she went and hid the bag in the same area as where they disposed of Chris's remains. Then, at the end of April, just before Kelly was supposed to meet with him again, Detective Ogden received a text message from her that read, "Ever been to the West Coast? I was driving last night." Kelly was on the run. Detective Ogden pinged Kelly's cell phone and tracked her to Kentucky. An arrest warrant was issued for Kelly's arrest, and she was apprehended by U.S. Marshals at a relative's house and charged with murder. After Kelly was taken into custody, she said she wanted to make a statement, so Detective Ogden met with her again, in the jail. This time, Kelly was in an orange prison jumpsuit. And this time, Kelly admitted to participating in the murder, saying she had lured Chris over to the house, knowing that Jason was going to kill him. She said normal people, when they get married, share vows. The 2 of them, she said, had an agreement that if one person cheated on the other, it was then that person's obligation to kill the lover. And if that person didn't kill their lover, then the spouse was entitled to kill the other spouse. But she couldn't do it, and so she just lured Chris to his death. And in addition to that, Kelly also claimed that not only had Jason killed other people, but she had too. Kelly was transferred to the Iron County Jail, and after her arraignment, she told Chief Rizzo that she wanted to again take them to Chris's remains. She led them to another area along the Pantoga Trail, where investigators eventually found Chris's skull, not far from where Kelly had said it would be. Before Kelly would go on trial for Chris's murder, however, there was another murder she would be charged with: Jason's. According to a probable cause affidavit, Jason didn't accidentally overdose on heroin after all. Kelly confessed to killing Jason herself during interviews with police. She reportedly said she delivered an overdose of heroin to Jason and then put her hands over his nose and mouth. She told police he died about a minute later. As for why she killed him, she told Detective Ogden that she ultimately blamed him for Chris's death, saying, quote, "I still hate him, and yes, it was revenge. I evened the score." Kelly's trial for Chris's murder began in February 2017. She was charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit dead bodies, disinterment and mutilation, concealing the death of an individual, larceny in a building, and lying to a police officer. In her opening statement, Iron County prosecutor Melissa Powell recounted how the case started as a missing persons investigation, and that when police got wind of a relationship that Chris was having with a married woman, that immediately tipped them off to Kelly. Powers described how when police first went to the Cochran home, they saw someone look out at them from an upstairs window, and then they saw Jason come out of the front door. Jason told them that Kelly wasn't home and wasn't sure when she was going to be back, but then Kelly walked out and identified herself. She told police that she had tried sending Chris some text messages, but that he hadn't replied. Officers then tried to narrow down Chris's last steps and tried to determine whether he was suicidal, whether he wanted to disappear, or whether anyone wanted to hurt him. Powers methodically went through the timeline of the case for the jury and went over Kelly's changing stories. She noted that Kelly stated in police interviews that Jason had never threatened her, never hit her, and never abused her in any way. She said in one of Kelly's stories, Kelly told investigators that the plan was originally for her to kill Chris by kicking or pushing him down the basement stairs, where Jason was waiting with the gun. Powers told the jury that police had found a skull that was determined to be Chris's, and testing on that skull revealed that he had indeed been shot. Powers said that Kelly and Jason were bonded in blood and displayed text messages between the two of them in court, showing that in September 2014, just a month prior to the murder, the couple's text messages were contentious and their relationship seemed to be crumbling. The text messages also seemed to show that Kelly was the dominant one. On September 9th, 2014, Kelly texted Jason, "Quit going through my shit." And Jason responded, "I need to trust you. Please help. I am tired of feeling lied to. I know you keep showing me your new friends are more important. Anything for them while I have to beg to use our truck or I have to walk." Kelly wrote, "I can't take it anymore." And Jason responded, "I'm done fighting. You put me in my place. I'm your bitch. You will lie and I will keep loving you." Then, on October 19th, 5 days after Chris's murder, the text messages between Jason and Kelly were loving and flirty. Powers concluded by asking the jury to find Kelly guilty of all charges, saying, "But in particular, we're going to be asking that you find the defendant guilty of aiding and abetting Jason Cochran in the murder of Christopher Karl Regan by plotting and planning his death and luring him to his funeral." In his opening statement, Kelly's attorney, Michael Schulke, asked the jury to keep an open mind while listening to the testimony. He said that Kelly was just trying to preserve her own life, saying that he believes the evidence will show that Jason was the driving force, and that any role that Kelly had was a result of her fearing for her life and safety. One witness for the prosecution was another man that Kelly had been seeing right around the same time she had been seeing Chris. His name was Eric, and he knew Chris from the military and knew Kelly from work at Oldenburg. He said he and Kelly started hanging out outside of work towards the end of September. He said he and Kelly became, quote, friends with benefits. Kelly told Eric that her marital status was pretty shaky, and she told him that her husband had been staying at a friend's house. He said he knew that Kelly and Chris had been seeing each other, but that he thought it had ended prior to him starting to date her. He said he and Kelly used to meet up at the Park and Ride, the same place where Chris's car was found. On October 10th, 4 days before Chris was murdered and dismembered, Kelly texted Eric and asked him to grab her tool bag from work for her. He met her at the Park and Ride and gave it to her 2 days later. He said he and Kelly had been talking daily when it abruptly ended. He said in late October 2014, she disappeared, and when he finally got a hold of her, she told him that she had to help a friend with the problem. By the time police talked to him, he said he had cut off ties with Kelly. A man named David Saylor testified that he was living with his grandmother, who lived down the street from Jason and Kelly, in October 2014. He said he heard sawing noises coming from the Cochran's house in the middle of the night for about 2 nights, sometime in October. When asked if it was before or after Chris Regan's disappearance, he said after. In March 2015, While police were serving their search warrant on the Cochrans' home, both Kelly and Jason went over to his grandma's house.
Did you guys talk about the search at that point in time?
Kind of here and there. Me and my uncles were telling them if they did anything, they're going to find it, especially if the FBI is in there doing the search.
And what was the defendant's reaction to that?
Jason, you could tell something was up because his face was turning red. He was like really quiet, quieter than he ever been. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
And what, if anything, did Kelly say about that?
Kelly, she was in the living room talking to my grandma.
So you said Jason's face got red and he got really quiet. How is Jason normally?
Oh, he is a quiet guy, but he likes to talk. He likes to laugh and stuff like that, but not that night. He even made a comment that they're coming back. The cops are coming back.
He made that comment to you that the cops were coming back?
That same night was the last time he saw Kelly and Jason at their house, before they packed up and left for Indiana. Prosecutor Powell asked David about when he first met Jason, near the end of September 2014. He said when he first met him, he went over to the Cochrans' home and Kelly was out of town. He said Jason was hurt and sad and told him that Kelly had been cheating on him. He said he never saw Jason angry. When asked about Jason and Kelly's relationship, he said he thought Kelly was always in charge. David Saylor's grandmother testified that she heard what sounded like a gunshot in mid-October 2014. She said she looked out her window and saw a woman standing on the porch of the Cochrans' home. She also saw a car with its headlights on. Detective Sergeant Randy Kahn testified that he reviewed the cell phone records for Jason, Kelly, and Chris. He said that on October 24th, 2014, just days after Chris's murder, Jason's phone was pinging less than a mile away from the Pantoga Trail, where Chris's skull was found. Kahn was also able to track the GPS in Chris's vehicle, which showed that on October 14th, the car was on Lawrence Street in Caspian, where the Cochrans lived, at 5:25 p.m. It then moved to the Park and Ride at 8:27 p.m., where the vehicle was found weeks later. Another neighbor of Jason and Kelly's testified that in mid-October 2014, he walked over to the Cochran house to complain about a foul odor coming from a fire in their backyard. He said it didn't smell like garbage, but that it was something he had never smelled before. He said Kelly told him that she would put out the fire. Then, after police left after executing a search warrant on their home, he said he observed Kelly in her front yard using a flashlight to look for something. Nicholas Grabowski, a police officer who spoke with Kelly and Jason while their home was being searched, said Kelly told him that they may find blood inside the house, but that there was a reason for that.
Did you have any discussions with them while they were in your vehicle?
Yes.
And what did you discuss?
One thing that was mentioned, Ms. Cochran mentioned that we found any blood on the carpet, that her dog was in heat.
Did she give you any indication how old her dog was at that time?
Not to me, or not that I can recall.
Okay. So she said if there was any blood on carpeting in the house, it would be because her dog was in heat?
Correct.
Okay. Was there any other discussion with them that evening?
Yes.
Okay. And what was that?
Mr. Cochran had asked me if there's anything interesting that I've done, and I asked him what he meant by that. Mrs. Cochran then asked me, we watch a lot of crime shows and we're really interested in that kind of stuff. And I answered, well, I worked a serial killer case in Highland Park when I was working down there. And no other questions were asked after that.
What was their demeanor when you said that you worked a serial killer case?
They were real quiet and didn't say nothing else.
And blood evidence was found in both the Cochran home and in the truck. According to testimony from various officers and FBI agents, the presence of blood was found on various surfaces throughout the home, on wooden planks outside the home, on a red comforter and pillow taken from the master bedroom, on the trimming of a door, and on a pair of forceps that had been found by the kitchen sink. The stains on the comforter and on the door arch had Kelly's DNA on them. However, the blood on the forceps had Chris's DNA. In the truck, evidence of blood was found in the truck bed's toolbox and on a reciprocating saw and saw blades. Chief Laura Frizzo and Detective Jeremy Ogden both testified the longest at Kelly's trial. Chief Frizzo said that in the May 2015 search warrant, they had collected some of the ash from the fire pit behind the Cochrans' home and sent it for testing. She testified that they found components of a pair of Old Navy jeans in the ashes. In July 2015, Chief Frizzo said she traveled to Hobart, Indiana, to serve a DNA search warrant on Kelly and Jason. She noted that Jason was shocked to see her, and his face turned red. She said he took very large gulps of air and was acting nervous. As for Kelly, Chief Frizzo took that opportunity to ask her about a statement she had made to them previously, that she had no idea where the park and ride where Chris's car was located. By then, Chief Frizzo had seen the text messages between Kelly and Eric referencing meeting up at that exact spot. But Kelly stuck to her story that she didn't know where it was. After Kelly's arraignment, she requested to speak with Chief Frizzo again. While they were talking, Kelly told her that while in the jail in Kentucky, she had made shanks out of her glasses and that she made them because she was bored. She said she considered stabbing the female correctional officer with them, but then changed her mind. Chief Frizzo said she asked Kelly why they killed Chris and not Eric, and Kelly said that at first it was supposed to be both of them, but that it was ultimately Jason's choice. Kelly also told her that Jason was really angry with her prior to Chris's death and had shot 2 rounds at her head in the basement. She said she took the casings from the rounds and pushed them into a hole in the floor, but police never located them. Chief Frizzo told the jury that a pair of forceps had been found near the sink in the Cochran home, and that according to Kelly's story, she had used them to try and get the bullet out of Chris's head. As for the murder weapon, Chief Frizzo testified that the gun barrel was located in the Caspian pit, and the magazine was found in the Cochran home. When Detective Ogden testified, he went into the details of all of his interactions with Kelly during the investigation. He said after Kelly was arrested in Kentucky, investigators found goodbye letters in her truck. In a letter she wrote to her parents, she said that if Jason was going to kill her, then he would have done it. She said that with her knowledge of forensics and science, she decided to clean everything up. She said, "I helped cover up the death of Chris all this time." She said Jason made mistakes, but that she was painstakingly careful with it. "Please forgive me for becoming a monster," she wrote. "My heart and mind have fought each other for so long, and then when Jason died, I saw the chance to give closure to Chris's family without having Jason end up in jail for the rest of his life. Jason said many times he would take the fall, but I wouldn't let him." She said the last year while covering up Chris's death, she and Jason bonded more than they ever had. She wrote, "Really do wish I could say that the investigators' hunches were unwarranted, but I would be lying, and I'm so tired of lying about it all." She wrote that, in actuality, I was the monster. She said she let Chris walk right into his own funeral. She said she had a choice to make, and that she's not the type of person who can be a caged bird and or a fish in a fishbowl, and that she needs to be free. Detective Ogden also testified about other people that Kelly claimed to have killed herself.
What discussion, if any, was held regarding other people she may have killed?
She told me she killed multiple people.
And did she give you more than one number on more than one occasion?
Yes, she's given me several numbers on the amount of people that she killed.
And did she give you a list on more than one occasion?
Yes.
Were you able? I'm sorry, go ahead.
She's given me several lists.
Were you able to follow up on her list of people?
In the May 23rd one, when she gave me a list, I communicated with my prosecutor and that evening, and I gave him, during the day and the evening, and I gave him a list of, a copy of all the names of people that she said that she had killed, and it's like everything else, there was nothing discovered within that list through my prosecutor's portion of the investigation, but I myself never actually have taken the time to go through everything because it's all part of her game and there are pieces of her puzzle within everything she says, and it's all done for a reason. And one day she'll decide what she wants to tell her.
And would you still like to talk to her?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
To your knowledge, is that the serial killer or the list or whatever you want to claim it is that a dead issue or a closed investigation?
No, it's open as long as she wants it to be, and whenever she wants it to continue, it will.
Kelly's mom testified and became emotional on the stand when a phone call was played in court of Kelly calling her while in custody at the Iron County Jail. In the conversation, Kelly tells her that she's been homicidal her whole life. Her mom asks her if she has a conscience, and Kelly responds, "What do you think?" And her mom says, "I don't think you do." The jail supervisor of the Graves County Jail in Kentucky took the stand and told the jury about 2 incidents he experienced with Kelly while she was in custody there. He said in the first incident, Kelly faked being passed out and unresponsive. And in the other incident, he said officers found the earpiece from her glasses that she had used to make a shank. When confronted about it, she flushed it down the toilet. The defense's main witness was, of course, Kelly Cochran herself. And she was back to denying having anything to do with Chris's death, saying that she had lied in her police interviews when she told them that she had. She said Jason was abusive, even though she had told investigators early on that he would never hurt her and that he worshipped the ground she walked on. She said when she first started working at Oldenburg, things got worse.
Things got worse because I don't want to, say how he thinks because to this day I still don't know. But he was angry. He was jealous. I was leaving the house every day. I was working 7 days a week. He became very jealous, very angry. There was times where he had threatened me in the house, outside of the house, throwing stuff at me. I mean, do you want specifics?
Yes, sir.
There was a time when we were living in Mississippi Street. This was 2008. He was very angry. He had a 30-06. Anytime we had guns in the house, they were loaded. We had a fight. This was another thing with the jealousy. And at this time, I had no other relationships, wasn't seeing anybody else. He put the gun to my head. We were having our screaming and yelling. And yeah, I was still arguing back with him. And he pulled the trigger. And I don't know if I was necessarily scared. I'm sure I was, but just the whole thought that, he already had a gun in my head and he was going to pull the trigger. Gun wasn't loaded that time. It was the only time it was never loaded.
I think you said this happened in 2008. Did I hear that correct? All right. Were there other times that he held a gun to your head or pointed a gun at you?
Probably about 20 times.
And I think you said this was the only time it wasn't loaded. Were there other times that it was loaded?
Yes.
And tell me about one of those times, perhaps.
Oh, one of the last times he had shot at me twice in the basement. He had shot 2 inches from my head. Jason was a perfect shot, a good marksman with weapons. He had no problem hitting his target. I think at this time it was more to scare me than anything.
And she said, Jason was hearing voices.
Jason was getting a little worse. He was hearing things, seeing things. He told me he was talking to somebody that had never been there. More crazy things that, he wasn't there all the way. He was snapping.
Okay, you said he was hearing things. Would he tell you what the voices were saying to him?
Yes, to kill me, to kill himself, to hurt other people. He said he heard these voices all the time. And
you alluded to him seeing someone who wasn't there. Could you tell us a little bit more about that if you do know about it?
There was a couple times that he had seen people. One time he had told me, Walter, one of the gentlemen that testified, that he was there and they were talking and they were playing games and wondered why I wasn't there. And Walt had never been to our house. I think he was just snapping, losing a little bit of reality here.
Kelly then gave her version of what happened the night of October 14th, 2014. She denied having lured Chris to his death, instead insisting that she thought Jason was going to be gone and that she had seen him leave.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. You heard yesterday Detective Ogden talk about you had some kind of plan or some scheme that you and Jason cooked up to lure Chris over to your home. You remember hearing about that yesterday?
Yes, I heard it.
Is that true?
No.
Okay.
It was something I had said, but there was never a plan.
Well, why'd you say that then?
It was a lie. I felt guilty.
Why guilty? Why'd you feel guilty?
Because if Chris would have never met me, if he would have never been in a relationship with me, he'd be here today.
Okay. So again, there was no plan going into this to have Chris come over to meet his demise.
Right.
Thought Jason was gone.
Right. I see him leave.
She described hearing the gunshot, and then her attorney asked her why her story had changed.
You're having sex with him. What happens then?
I don't know if I heard it. I know now that I had to have, but I didn't hear it. There was a gunshot, and we fell down the stairs.
No. Was he still having sex with you at that time? That you fell on the stairs together?
We'd be in the middle of it.
Okay. And I think you told different versions of that as well in the past. Do you remember telling different versions of that?
Correct.
Why did you tell different versions?
As far as the one up in the bedroom, when I went with the detective to the house that day, even as he said in his statement, I was under the influence. I don't even remember taking them upstairs to talk about the bedroom or anything like that.
Well, again, as well as had the sex been completed or not completed, I think you might have told different versions of that as well. You all telling different versions of that?
Correct, yes.
Again, why would you have told different versions?
Not only was it a lie, but I was a little unsure at the time as well, too. The time of the actual gunshot, I think is a little cloudy to this day.
She then described what happened after Chris had been shot. And remember how in one of her stories she said that she had gone upstairs to give herself stitches? Kelly was now saying that that was a lie, too.
After this happens, what happens next?
Jason ended up dragging him to the middle of the floor.
And what are you doing while he's dragging Chris to the middle of the floor?
I'm just there.
You told Detective Ogden that I think you told us as well that you lost consciousness, or you said you had to come to. Did you black out for a moment or something like that?
Right, when I was under him from falling down the stairs, yes.
Okay. And you still think you told Detective Ogden that you hit your head or you had a gash in your head?
I had my hand, yes. I was bleeding.
Yeah. Show us on your head right now. Point out to us where.
It'd be on this top back portion right here. There was no stitches.
There's no stitches?
No.
So you lied about that?
I didn't.
Why'd you lie about that?
I don't know.
So again, you got a cut in your head, but nothing that required medical attention.
Right.
Kelly said she was scared to call the police or try to get help because she didn't trust that they could really help her. On cross-examination, Prosecutor Powell questioned how Kelly could be so afraid of Jason, yet be openly sleeping with other men.
Now, your testimony on Friday was that Jason was increasingly abusive during your marriage and you were incredibly fearful. Was that accurate?
Yes.
And your testimony Friday was that he held a gun up to your head at least 20 times?
If not more.
So you were so afraid of him, you taunted him by being with several other men at the same time?
I didn't taunt him intentionally, but I was seeing other men who were separated.
So, you're a take-charge person, right?
I used to be.
Did you tell Detective Ogden that Jason worshipped the ground you walked on?
I did tell him.
And is your testimony that you were so fearful of Jason's jealousy that you left every night to go be with Chris or Eric?
What do you mean by that?
Is it your testimony that you were so fearful of Jason that you still left every night to go be with Eric and Chris?
I would leave almost every night.
Because you were fearful?
Because I wanted out of the house. He didn't know where I was going.
You didn't even bother to hide your truck. That's how fearful you were. Is that accurate to say?
I didn't hide my truck only a few times at IGA.
Now, you told Detective Ogden you worked at a domestic violence shelter. You told Laura Frizzle you worked at a domestic violence shelter.
Correct.
You have a degree in psychology, correct?
Yes. Correct.
And a degree in sociology?
No.
Just took classes in sociology?
Yes.
So are you telling the jury that you didn't know how to get help?
I've been giving knowledge to go get help. I've been told how to get help.
Well, you actually worked in a place that gave people help, right?
Right.
So are you telling us that you didn't know how to get help?
In my situation, no.
No, you did not know how to get help. That's what you're telling us today.
Yes.
In one of her interviews with police, Kelly had told them that Chris had asked her to move to North Carolina with him and that she had said no. Powell questioned her about this.
Now, I think that you indicated that Jason knew about your relationships.
Yes.
Are you including your relationship with Eric?
Yes.
When you and Chris were together, isn't it true that you did not go out to eat, you did not go to wineries, you didn't go to basketball games?
We didn't go to wineries, basketball games. We did go to a couple places in town.
Like McDonald's?
And yes, McDonald's and somewhere on, I think it's Happy Trails on 189.
But he didn't take you to Alice's or to the nicer restaurants around here?
No, we chose not to.
And were you aware that Chris Regan was a regular user of Match.com?
Yes.
And did you know that he already had girls set up to meet him in North Carolina?
Yes.
And it's your testimony that he asked you to go with him to North Carolina?
He had asked me once.
Why would he ask you to go with him to North Carolina when he wouldn't take you to any of the restaurants around town, when he fought with you over people finding out about your relationship?
Can you repeat the question?
Why would he take you or ask you to go with him to North Carolina when he wouldn't even take you to restaurants around town?
Because he enjoyed our time together, and here I was a married woman.
The truth is, isn't it, that he would not take you or ask you to go to North Carolina?
That's incorrect.
Powell asked Kelly about the pact she said she and Jason had made on their wedding night.
So you told the detective also that you had a pact made when married to kill lovers, right?
I told him that, yes.
And I think that you testified that that actually was an agreement, but you were joking around at the time. Is that accurate?
No, not actually. I said a pact is an agreement. There was never any agreement, but this was said on our wedding night by him.
Well, why don't you tell us exactly what was said on your wedding night?
He said that if I had ever cheated on him, or vice versa, that the other one, that you would have to kill your significant other, and if you didn't, then the other would have to do it.
So that actually was discussed?
He had said it.
And what did you say?
I blew it off. I didn't think it was anything to take seriously.
Okay, so you didn't take that seriously, but yet you told the detective that when you're under investigation for a murder?
Yes.
That was a big joke to you?
None of this is a joke.
So you lied to the detective. Was it a big joke when you lied to the detective about this?
No.
One of the last questions Powell asked Kelly was, "Where's the rest of Chris Regan?" And Kelly responded that she didn't know. The jury deliberated for a little under 3 hours before returning their verdicts. They found her guilty of all counts, and she was sentenced to life without parole. But Kelly's legal troubles are far from over. She's still awaiting her trial for the murder of her husband Jason back in Indiana. The probable cause affidavit for that charge says that Kelly told Detective Ogden that she had been thinking about killing Jason for a long time, at least since Chris died on October 14, 2014. She said she had even considered killing Jason instead of Chris. When describing how she did it, she first asked Detective Ogden what the most painful way to die is, before answering it herself, saying drowning or suffocating is. She said while Jason was vomiting from the overdose of heroin, she climbed onto his lap and placed her hands over his nose and mouth. She said she suffocated him, and that he drowned in his own fluids. She said he was looking at her as she did it, and that he had a look of confusion or fear in his eyes. She then said that she didn't feel bad about what she did, and didn't lose a night of sleep over it. Kelly could face the death penalty for Jason's murder. Christopher Karl Regan was a military veteran who had reportedly served more than 20 years in the military. He left behind 2 sons. And that's all for this episode. And a special thank you to our sponsors. Today's show is supported by Book of the Month. Book of the Month makes discovering great new books easier than ever. Browse their 5 monthly selections and get your favorite shipped to your door in a fun-to-open box. Head on over to bookofthemonth.com/court to see their current selections and get your first book for just $9.99. Book of the Month, bound to delight. I just love that tagline. And as always, I'd love to hear what you guys think about today's case. We talk a lot about the trial side of things, but what are your thoughts about the investigation in this case? And what are your thoughts on Kelly herself? Do you think she could potentially be a serial killer? Let me know by joining my discussion group on Facebook at courtjunkie.com/Facebook, or you can find me on Twitter at courtjunkiepod, on Instagram at courtjunkie, or you can email me at podcast@courtjunkie.com. And a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. This week, I'd like to give a shout out to Teresa, Brooke, Chris, Connie, Jody, and Sid. Thank you so much for your support. As a reminder, if you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by donating as little as $1 a month, and then you can get access to early ad-free episodes. Just go to courtjunkie.com/support, and that will redirect you to my Patreon page. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.